This is Green Africa Weekly by greenafricaprojects.org. The stories shaping Africa's green and economic future. This week, Africa is building one of the largest internal markets in the world. But there is one major problem. Getting around is still too expensive and too difficult. In Europe, low-cost airlines transformed the economy. In the United States, domestic aviation connects entire regions seamlessly. Across Asia and Latin America, budget airlines are fueling trade, tourism, and mobility. Cheap movement does not follow growth. It creates it. But in Africa, flying between neighboring countries can cost more than flying to Europe. Routes are limited, connections are fragmented, and too often you have to leave the continent just to move within it. And it is not that aviation does not exist. Across Africa, private jets, charter flights, and safari aviation networks are already well developed, serving high-end tourism and business travel. But this is a different market. The real gap is affordable, large-scale connectivity. Yet this is starting to change. With the African Continental Free Trade Area, the focus is shifting from exporting out to building within. And that requires movement of people, of goods, of capital. Because airlines are not just transport, they are economic infrastructure. They connect entrepreneurs to markets, investors to opportunities, and cultures to each other. And it starts with hubs. In Europe, cities like Amsterdam, Paris, and London dominate, not just because of demand, but because of strategy, infrastructure, and connectivity. Africa is now entering that phase. Ethiopia is investing heavily in a new mega airport, positioning itself as a global aviation hub. At the center of this shift are key players. Ethiopian Airlines, already the continent's leading carrier. Kenya Airways, anchoring East Africa through Nairobi. And South Africa, with its established aviation infrastructure in the south. At the same time, other regions, from West Africa to North Africa, are positioning themselves to become the next strategic gateway. Because this will not be one single system. East Africa, West Africa, Southern Africa, North Africa. Each will develop its own hubs, its own routes, its own low-cost ecosystems. And that raises a deeper reality. Africa is not building a copy of Europe's system. It is building something of its own. Something adapted to its scale, its geography, and its future. And unlike Europe, distances in Africa are vast. There is no real rail alternative between most major cities. Flying is not optional, it is essential. For years, global aviation bodies have pointed to the barriers: high costs, regulation, and limited connectivity. But those barriers are also the opportunity. And now, global dynamics may accelerate this shift. For years, airlines from the Middle East, from Doha to Dubai to Abu Dhabi, have dominated international connections between Africa and the rest of the world. But with rising geopolitical tensions and regional instability, that dominance is no longer guaranteed. And that opens a window. A window for African airlines and African hubs to capture more of that traffic and to strengthen their position in the global network. And unlike smaller hub economies, Africa has something else: a vast and growing internal market. Which means this system will not only depend on international flows, but on movement within the continent itself. And as Africa builds this system, it has a unique advantage. New fleets, smarter routes, and future fuels could allow Africa to leapfrog older, more polluting systems. And when you look at it like that, you start to see what's really missing. So the real question is this: who will build Africa's low-cost airline ecosystem? Because whoever makes flying affordable will not just move people. They will unlock Africa's internal economy. Thank you for watching Green Africa Weekly. Footage in this episode was sourced from CGTN, Reuters, Al Jazeera, DW, First Post, and others under fair use. We're here to bring a fresh perspective on Africa's green and economic development. See you next week.